We're digging in the fly vault today. We're going to tie the Utah killer bug, or the Sawyer's killer bug, or just the killer bug, or the Sawyer's Utah killer bug. Goes by all of those, but it's a killer bug. I wanted to tie this pattern because I think a fair amount of people are familiar with it. I think a lot of people aren't familiar with it, and it's just kind of one of those obscure patterns, and I think it gets overshadowed by the good old pheasant tail, which is another Frank Sawyer masterpiece. So originally, supposedly Frank Sawyer tied these without a vise. He would just use some Chadwick 477 wool, which you can't get anymore, a little bit of wire, and he would just kind of wrap that around the hook and ninja this fly, basically. We're not going to ninja the fly, and we're also not going to use Chadwick 477 because that's become like a grail fly tying item. So we can't do that. What we're going to use is this Jameson Spindrift in Oyster color. This is pretty close to the original. About as close as you can get, I think. Now, I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people don't do this fly. It takes such a specific material. I will link this in the description, and if you happen to purchase this, you're going to have enough of this material to tie a blue bazillion of these flies. So to me, it's worth the expense of picking this up because this really is a killer bug. This thing produces well. So let's flip around, head to the vise, and bring this bad boy to life. I went ahead and put a size 12 curved nymph hook in the vise. This is my favorite size for this pattern. I went ahead and put a little bit of lead, keeping it front heavy so that we can force a little bit of taper. Now I'm going to come in with some red uni thread and just start lashing everything in and securing everything down. And also focusing in on the areas so that we can get smooth transitions out of that taper. We've got that. I'm going to trim out that excess, and I am going to go ahead and dress down the bend of this hook with the red thread. I want a little bit of a hot spot, so to speak, going down the bend. So I'm just going to build that up a little bit and advance back up and just smooth out this transition a little bit. So now I'm going to come in and tie in that Spindrift yarn. And I'm actually tying in two pieces here. And I'm not going to, if you can see, I'm not going to take this all the way down the bend. I want that just to be thread back there. And now I'm going to advance that thread back up here to the hook eye. So with these two pieces, I'm just going to kind of loosely braid them around each other. Nothing major. Not going for anything perfect. And then I'm going to start twisting this. And as I wrap this up, I'm going to continue to twist it. So I'm sort of making my wrap, twisting it with my fingers, wrap, twist. And we're just going to do that up the length of this body. And that's going to sort of twist this into a rope, which will start to build a little bit of some segments. And we're just going to take this all the way up to the front. Go ahead and capture. Tie it down. And clean up. Cut out that excess. And now I want to build up a pretty pronounced head here. I want that nice red hot spot on the rear of this, and I want it up on the front as well. So I'm going to wrap up onto that spindrift a little bit, like so. And now we'll just come in and whip finish. And snip out your thread. And now just naturally come in with your head cement of choice. I like to apply it on those front wraps and some on those back wraps just to strengthen those a little bit. And the tying is done, son. So there we have it. You can see it builds this nice, natural, little segmented looking body. It does wonderfully buggy things on its own. You know, just the nature of that wool material just does all kinds of interesting stuff. So you put in virtually no work at all to achieve this wonderfully buggy fly. once it gets wet, it takes on a nice slimy effect. This is just a wonderful fly. And again, I think so many people don't tie it and don't utilize it because it does take such a specific material to do it. There's some people out there trying to fill that void, but I still think getting this big hank is one of the cheaper ways to go about it. Man, this thing fishes and it catches a pile of fish. So if you don't have this in your box, come on, tie them up. It's worth it. Get that material. I'll link it in the description so you can pick some up. It'll last you forever. It's a killer bug. Tight lines.